Hello everybody, this is Mr. Loy, your friendly D&T teacher. In this Advanced2 training video, we're going to proceed further into understanding how to apply some of the editing routines and to make a more professional looking contextual use. We also explore what is contextual use, and if you haven't watched Advanced1 training video, I recommend that you do so and try out the tutorial 1 and 2, because in this Advanced 2 training video I'll be showing you the specific steps and how to achieve the outcome. Of course, it's not always one method, okay? You can always figure yourself around. So this Advanced 2 training video may stretch a little bit longer, so what I suggest is you may want to pause at any time and revisit and come back to it anytime, okay? Another day or what. So without further delay, so let's proceed and recap on what we had actually gone through last training video. So generally we visited two methods. Alright, first method was to use the Microsoft Paint to kind of like remove the index finger to make it look more like the one that's shown on the bottom right corner, that the index finger is behind the green handle of the steady hand game. Of course, I believe in Advanced1 video you actually did not see me after I've actually saved the file from Microsoft Paint as a JPEG format and then of course you don't see me from there onwards, but never mind. I also learned from there as well. So I will not be using Microsoft Paint. Okay, method 2 that we tried was layering. So you need to know layering basically means in PowerPoint, bring to front, send to back, or bring forward or send backward. Okay, and we also know that if we are only working with two images, all right, then bring to front and bring forward mean the same thing, right? Likewise, send to back and send backward means the same. So having used this example in the last training video, we can actually establish some form of routine, right? Because sometimes you need to know certain steps, like what do I have to do in step 1, what do I do next, and so on. So maybe this is just a suggested steps for you to follow when you edit images for contextual use. So the first step is assuming that you have actually searched the appropriate image. Then you copy and paste it onto the white canvas of the PowerPoint. The first thing that you need to do is to remove background, right? Followed by cropping the image so that the handlebars are very close to the object, easier for you to move around, easier for you to select, especially smaller images. Okay. We also have encountered in the intermediate training video that in the kitchen setting, this guy is his workspace is too big, and I was trying to select the thermal flask. That was a bit of challenge for me. So after you have cropped the image to the appropriate handle size and stuff like that, you need to understand whether your object is right on top or behind another object or image. So you need to understand layering. Next, you need to know which mode to use for snipping. Of course, in general there are 4, but we often use rectangular snip and of course freeform snip. Know where and how to snip as well. Alright, so you may have to, if you use the freeform snip, you have to be a little bit skillful in selecting the area that you want, the scissors icon. Resize and reorientate the image, alright, so that it is of the appropriate orientation with respect to the background setting that you have. And of course, last but not least, to check for appropriateness. Okay, so later on I may be reiterating these steps fairly often, alright, so that you kind of like form the habit. So let's proceed. So what is contextual use, right? The first thing is why do we have to do that, right? For D&T it means a lot. So I went to Wiki, and there isn't any existence of contextual use, but what they suggested would be a few contextual advertising, contextual learning, and stuff like that. So basically it means you have to have a setting, okay? And then I dropped the word use, and then I type what is contextual use. So basically it's depending on what you're talking about, right? Related to or relating to. We are not going to dwell to the language part of it, all right, how to use contextual in a sentence and stuff like that. So let's jump right into D&T context. Now remember in the intermediate training video, this is the guy I was talking about. This thermoflask, remember we do not need to have objects, in this case images, always vertically standing and things like that. It has to be orientated to suit the so-called user, in this case the guy in the kitchen setting, how he holds the thermoflask in a natural way. And of course we also empathize with him, so to speak. All right, you have to put yourself in his shoe. If you are the one holding the thermoflask, where would you hold best? All right, is it towards the bottom handle or at the top? Okay. Then of course we have this lady here. All right, she's actually eating something. You realize that she was taken from a original restaurant setting, but before I proceed further, you notice that this designer toolkit base that we were also playing with in a previous training video doesn't seem to be in the right so-called context, all right, basically the kitchen setting, unless you have invited some friends over and then you were so eager to bring this steady hand game, you know, and into the kitchen setting. All right, other than that, I think it's not really appropriate in this sense. Okay, now how to make it appropriate? So what I did was I flipped this lady over, and of course you can use freeform snip to or remove background to remove the part where, you know, when we zoom in, it seems quite clear that she is not really handling the so-called designer toolkit base, right? So we can actually remove the background there and make her as if she is playing with the steady hand game. All right, so that will be more appropriate for the context in that sense. All right, so you can actually make use of her, but of course the background's environment should not be in the kitchen setting. All right, maybe in the living room and stuff like that. So you realize that D&T, contextual use, means there must be some form of interaction, all right, especially between the prototype that you design make, as well as to show how its function, it can function, all right, what is its purpose through the interaction of with the target user, right? So that in short, there must be some form of interaction between the user and your prototype. So down here you can see that there is a hand about to pick up the handle of the steady hand game. And in the text box here, I highlighted it is recommended to include a caption to explain or describe the interaction between the user and the prototype. So of course, a picture tells 1,000 words. If you want to be more detailed and explicit, you can actually type a short single sentence to briefly describe what's happening in the picture there. Looking down here, you can see there's a finger pressing. All right, so you see I all got this. I mean I've gotten this from Google Image. It actually rests just nice onto the master switch here. All right, so an example of a caption here is left image. So if you have multiple images on a single page or on your presentation board, it's always good to highlight which image you're talking about. Is it the top image, bottom image, the left image, or for the matter of fact, picture? You can use the word picture instead of image, or the right image. So in this case, the left image you're referred to is to switch on the steady hand game. Just press on the master push button switch. All right, so this picture already shows how it is to be operated. So this is just an example. Now in your project, you actually were given a set of French curves, and you would probably need to include this in your contextual use as well. Now this is taken from the Google image. Of course, there is this skill that you will probably have to search further, deeper. You know, you got to scroll down more to look for appropriate ones. So this is an example of an image that is not really correctly orientated. Okay, because the question here says that is, or asked, is the set of French curve correctly orientated? Okay, so it's actually not, because if you were to place it over, it is not like on the same plane as the designer toolkit base. All right, because this set of French curves looks like it's standing. All right, the plane is vertical. So will it fit the contextual use here? So in that sense, no, not really. Okay. So what I did was I searched deeper down, I scrolled down, and I found possibly this is a very good example. I'm just going to quickly demo a freeform snip here, just to show you that you can actually do a quick snip of what you want. Okay, for example, this one here. You can actually click away so that the handles don't appear, right? Because it's it may be a little bit more challenging for you. Don't forget to click copy, and of course down here you paste. So remember the routine of editing images for contextual use. The first thing that you need to remember is to remove background, right? So once you have copy and pasted the image, the first step is to remove background. So of course, just going to show you how it's done again. All right, and you probably need to click areas that you want to remove. Okay, sometimes as simple as a dot will do. Then you got to go back to areas that you want to keep again, maybe just a little bit. All right, so you got to persevere. Okay, now let's assume that this is what you want already. You keep changes, and of course the next step to do will be to crop the image. Now that you can still crop this image, because top part you can actually bring it closer to your object. Okay, so just click crop, and let me just zoom out. So you can see that I've actually placed this over here already. All right, now don't forget that you need to resize so that it's proportionate to or relative to what else you have. All right, as a second image, third image. So I've actually resized it already, and I intend to place it on top of the surface here. Right, now what's missing again, of course, remember contextual use, you will have to have some form of interaction between the target user and the prototype. So I went to Google Image, and then I found this hand. I applied the first few steps of removal of background, cropping, resizing. So I'm ready to place this French curve and this hand over. And of course, don't forget your flip horizontal, flip vertical, and rotate function as well. Okay, so it's just nice that it actually over here, and you check for appropriateness. Yes, the hand is on top of the designer toolkit base. The French curve is on top of the top layer of the designer toolkit base, and of course the hand is right on top of that. Okay, so there is a need for you to play around with the moving the fingers behind, things like that. So this is just nice. Can you see? It's very appropriate there. The index finger and the thumb holding on to a thin part of the so-called French curve. Alright, so this is good enough, but yet there's still something missing, right? Remember the kitchen setting and the designer toolkit base, they actually don't really match. So what I did was I went to Google Image and found a study desk, and I didn't really do quite a good job removing the background, but I was in a hurry. So of course, if you have more time, you will have to, and of course patience, all right, you will have to remove mark areas to keep, mark areas to remove, and keep doing it until you get it perfectly right. Okay, so I was in a rush, so the quality here is not as good, and I accidentally cropped this part over, all right, just to show you the original top part of the cup is still there. Alright, so you can actually see that it's still there. So I was too fast to bring down the handle, and it just sliced through. Okay, so you got to be careful, right? Inspect the object, especially after you have removed background, cropped the image, and so on and so forth. So down here is an example of a caption again. Alright, so in this case, it's a left picture. The designer toolkit base is placed on a typical study desk. Alright, so obviously you are reiterating what's happening here. And of course, to go further, you can actually include the next sentence. The user is placing a French curve onto the base, right down here. And the user can switch on the steady hand game built in and have a game or two with his or her friend who came to visit. Now, this third part of the caption, if you don't have another so-called image to show where to press the switch, and just depending on the main picture that you see here will not be comprehensive, okay, because the focus here is about switching on the steady hand game. So you will have to have, for example, an insert picture, slightly zoom in picture, or a smaller size picture to show exactly where the finger will press the master switch. Okay, so this will be a fairly good contextual use per se. All right, so this should be the desired so-called back presentation for contextual use. Of course, like I said before, you can actually have a zoom out view and overall picture, and then you zoom in on the prototype. Okay. Now to revisit the tutorial one, all right, this was the task. You're supposed to place this bottle over, all right, and make it as real as possible. So I'm going to demo the steps from here to there. All right, so of course this is something that you might want to consider as well. So applying the routine for editing of images for contextual use, you would have actually removed the background, all right, of both images. All right, and I resized this because the original tutorial one, this water bottle is small, right? So I resized it to kind of like, I used it like that, okay, to get a good measurement, and then I resized the water bottle. Now you see this line here. What I wanted to do is, the first step is to place the water bottle so-called inside the holder, right? So this top part is fairly easy. You just need to use rectangular snip to keep this top part, right? So what I did was I use insert shape. So I'm going to show you where. So you just choose insert here, and you click on shape and the line. Okay, so this is just a line, and then you what I did was I drew a line across, right, to help me, to guide me, so-called decide on exactly where and how to snip it for the rectangular snip. So what I did next was I call out the rectangular snip, and of course I didn't snip here, because you snip here you have to remove the background, right? So what I did was I copied this, or maybe just to show you. All right, so that's this line that goes across here. Okay, now I will do the rectangular snip. So I'll start at bottom. You can actually snip slightly above the line, because if you were to snip on the line, you will keep the line, right? So another way is to, when you're about to do a rectangular snip, you move the, you observe where the thing is, and then you just slightly move the line away, you know, that kind of thing. Just move it down a bit, and then you do the necessary. Okay, don't forget to click copy and paste. All right, so of course the first thing you need to do will be to remove background, crop the image if necessary, and then resize it, and then try to fit it in. Okay, so this is what I did here. All right, can you see? So this is the front bit. Now tutorial 1 is a little bit more challenging in the sense that this bottom part, all right, is actually exposed. So you will also need to edit the bottom part here, right? So of course you can always bring the line down, all right, to where you want to cut off. All right, so based on the image on the right, okay, so it's about this blue area here. So you have to use a rectangular snip to take care of it. All right, so let's move to the next slide for me to show you how. So down here, what you have is you copied the water bottle. All right, now a quick way of so-called copying images, similar images or identical images on the same canvas slide of the PowerPoint is to click on the object, hold down the control key, all right, while keeping it held down, you left mouse click, and then you drag the image. All right, for those who are not quite used to it, you have to let go of the mouse button first, and then you let go of the control key. All right, if you let go of the control key before you let go of the left mouse, it's back to square one. All right, so it's just like that, you did not do anything. So so that's a quick tip there. So what we are focusing is the bottom part of the water bottle. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do about it. Same thing, all right, apply the snipping image. So it's rectangular snip. Let me just double check. Yep. Okay, so of course same thing, you move the blue line slightly above, and you do a rectangular snip, copy the image and paste. All right, and don't forget there is a white canvas. All right, so you have to remove the background, crop the image, resize it. Of course, some of you may have also be, if you are very observant, you notice that actually, let me just zoom in to show you. Let me just bring it down a little bit and bring a little bit to the left. All right, now you see this part here, this black portion here is actually curved. All right, So if you do a rectangular snip, right, what happens is that when you place this blue portion over, it's going to cover the curved part, the convex curved part of the holder itself. So of course, in this case, you may be a little bit more careful. You may want to do a free-form snip so that this top part of the blue area of the water bottle is convex, right? I think you get what I mean, right? You can see the right hand side, the outcome is I use a rectangular snip, so that's why it's like flat here, okay? Of course, there's ways that you can actually touch up this area, all right? So either you apply what I suggested just now, you use a free-form snip so that you can snip the curved part of the blue area of your water bottle as best as you can, and then you will have that black portion, all right, kept there, okay? So but this is just for a quick, just to show you quickly, all right? So this is what I did. Of course, after you have removed the background, crop the images and resize it, you just place it over, and then you can do your best to fit it in, okay? Alright, so this is the part, okay? Now, of course, this is not the end, right? Because when you place this bottom piece here, this front, I would say a little bit light green area, the strap actually is gone. So you have to put the strap over, okay? You have to put the strap over. Now, how do we go about doing that? So what I did was I copied the image over again, and of course, you can see that I used the blue portion of the water bottle as an alignment, alright? And of course, how I got this, okay? So what I did was I actually used freeform snip. So let's select freeform and new. So you got to be competent with the scissors, right? Of course, before you do that, you can actually zoom in. It's easier for you. So just to show you what I did was I just went through here, and then I just follow the profile, and then I just cut out of there, okay? So copy, and then you paste the image, and then you do the necessary removal of background, cropping and resizing. And of course, when you place it over where you wanted the object to be, you have to do the resizing, okay? So I think I've not done the resizing yet, so let me just use this as an example. Okay, thereabout, and then I'm just going to place it back there, okay? Check for appropriateness. Maybe it's supposed to go below the bottom part of the water bottle, right? So this will be a good presentation on the left hand side, okay? So of course, this one, you see this curved black portion has been removed. As suggested previously, you could have actually used a freeform snip to keep the black portion of the holder itself, okay? Now quickly coming to the tutorial 2. So this was the requirement for tutorial 2, just to have this hand, alright, not any other hand, just this hand placed over the desired outcome of tutorial 1. So something like this, okay? Now in class, as I've explained, sorry, let me just move the hand rather than the hand, the holder. So this hand, of course, obviously you got to resize, remove background, crop, and then resize. And you have to orientate by using the rotate tool here, right, to the correct orientation. And I think this is how it's done, okay? Of course, if you want, you can actually consider putting the palm portion here, all right, in front of the back strap of this black holder. However, as explained, the distance or the gap between the bottle and the holder here is just too narrow for your our flash to actually fit in. And normally when you grab a bottle, right, you grab this way, all right, and you take it out. Now, in terms of appropriateness, okay, think carefully. Is this the usual way that we will pick up a water bottle? The answer maybe it depends, right? It depends how your water bottle is holding on, securing your water bottle, and where this holder is secured to, right? For example, on a bicycle, okay, so probably to pick it up on the spine of the bicycle, all right, or if you're wearing against a waist pouch, so this holder might be by the side or at the back of your at the back of you, so you probably got to grab it, okay, so that you don't accidentally drop it on the road while you're cycling. But for most of the time, the natural pickup will be just to reach from the top, hold the bottle cap area, and then just pull out, right? So that's more natural. So what I'm trying to say is when you design and make a product or prototype, right, you will have to consider how the target user will actually interact with the product that you are designing and making. So in this case, you have to empathize. All right, again, empathy comes in design thinking. You have to put yourself in the shoe. You have to try it out. So in our D&T lessons, we actually make mock-ups. All right, very quick, rapid prototyping. We use cardboard. We use Vanguard sheets. We use foam and other recyclable materials to quickly make a mock-up for us to test out. Okay, so the picking up is important. All right. So in my last lesson, what I did was over here, just to show you what I did. Remember, I placed a green corrugated board as the background, and then I literally hold my hand. At that time, I was holding on to a whiteboard marker, and then you use your camera as best as you can, the correct orientation that you want, exactly what you want, where you want it, how you want to hold it, and then you snap the image. And of course you import it over. So just to show you the original image, it's actually over here. Let me see, where is it? Okay, hand picking up something. So this is the original image that I've taken in class, all right, in front of you guys. So what I did, of course, apply the same thing. After you have copied and pasted onto the PowerPoint, you remove background, and then you crop the image, and then you resize it. Okay, so I literally remove this blue whiteboard marker, and this is how my hand is like. Okay, so of course what you need to do now is to place the hand correctly. All right, maybe here, and this time no choice. You can't just bring to front. Okay, perhaps maybe you can, all right, but then the top part of the bottle cap is missing already. So you have to apply your skills again, you know, the freeform snip to either keep the bottle cap or either the index finger or the thumb, all right, in front or behind. So you have to do it right. Okay, so for example, somewhere like that. Okay, so because I held something that's cylindrical, right, the whiteboard marker cap itself, so this appropriateness, so-called, is already there already. Okay, so I've taken care of it already. So this is what you should do. So in a nutshell, if you can't find from Google image the right so-called hand position, or the way the thumb and the fingers are supposed to present, holding, picking up something, pushing something, and so on and so forth, do it yourself. All right, take your own image, exactly where you and how you want it. Don't just take one image, because maybe, you know, you have a choice of a few to choose from, the best angle, you know, that kind of thing. And don't forget to remove background and do the necessary. Okay, so I've actually quickly shown you tutorial 1, how it's done, followed by tutorial 2. Of course, tutorial 2 ends here, and I wanted to explain why it is not naturally appropriate to pick up something like that unless your product or prototype was meant to be so. Okay, otherwise you come up with your own reel. You yourself, you are a actor or actress. You get your friends to help you and things like that. Okay, so until the next time we meet again, all the best in your contextual use exploration. So now it's your turn to attempt the contextual use based on our design project module. So bye for now.